Hey guys, real quick before we get into this pod today, I am on my first day where I don't have matches to analyze in 4 weeks. It's been a crazy ride. I was in the New York Times this morning, crazy. I was on Fox News this Sunday, crazy. The channel is blowing up, insane, crazy. But you guys are going to love this pod. Alan Kelly is a former FIFA referee. He's heads up the senior match officials for Pro, our professional referee organization here in the United States. We talked about the officiating thus far in the World Cup. You're going to love it. Hey, guys, reach out to me if you need me, refsneedlove2@gmail.com. Shoot me a message. Love you. Hope you're enjoying the World Cup as much as I am. I'll talk to you soon. Hello and welcome to the Refs Need Love 2 podcast, a show that gives you a real, raw, and behind-the-scenes view of one of the hardest jobs on the pitch, the referee. I'm your host, David Gerson, a grassroots referee and certified mentor with over 11 years of experience and over 1,500 matches under my belt. You can find me at refsneedlove2.com, on Instagram, TikTok, and now on YouTube. Today, guys, we are joined by a very special guest. We have Alan Kelly he's the Director of Senior Match Officials for Pro. If you're not familiar with who Pro is, here in the US, you might know, but if you're listening around the world, Pro is the group who assigns and trains all of our top officials here in the United States for MLS, NWS, USL Championship, USL League One, MLS Next Pro, which is the highest level of kind of our academy groups as well. So it's the top of the top here in the US. And Alan focuses on the development specifically of the senior match officials, those who work regularly in the MLS. Alan is a three-time MLS referee of the year in 2015, 2016, 2018. He made his MLS debut in 2014. He refereed MLS Cup in 2016, 2018. He was a VAR in 2019 FIFA U20 World Cup final. He was a FIFA official from 2002 to 2013. And guys, you will notice he does have an accent. He is from Ireland, but he is now calling the U.S. his home. Alan, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the podcast.
David, thank you. Thank you for the very kind introduction. I'm not used to all the positivity around the officiating side of things. Thank you for the really kind introduction. And I'm really pleased that you listed out all my mistakes during my career there. It's really helpful to this.
Spoken like a true referee, because if you really care, all you remember are all the things you've messed up, not the thousands of great calls you've made, but all of the biggest mistakes you've made. That's the sign of a great ref.
Occupational hazard just comes to the territory.
I saw someone was asking me today about what makes a great referee, or they were saying that they get nervous before games. And I was just saying, it just means that you care. It just means that you care. It's a good, positive trait is that you care about the game that you're officiating. It's all good, man. All right, Alan, before we get into this podcast, just real briefly, man, we are in the midst of World Cup. You and I are talking literally minutes after Japan, Brazil, last second winner for Brazil. How's the World Cup been for you thus far? Not only for someone who obviously has developed a lot of the officials that are out there, but just generally as a fan.
It's been really enjoyable. That's the first thing I'll say, because for a number of different reasons. One, because the World Cup's on our doorstep, and I've never experienced that before. For as long as I've been in the game, I've been able to attend my first World Cup game as a fan, just to sit in the stadium. I've been to a few games now. So I've gone and sat and watched the officials, because that's fundamentally what I will do first and foremost. I'll watch the game, but I've enjoyed the games. I've enjoyed just sitting. I've enjoyed meeting fans. I've enjoyed just getting into the games. And then from the point of view of the work side of it, I think I've watched probably 53, 54 games of the tournament live so far, because look, we have a break from MLS play, but work goes on. There is so much of my work that I can capture within the World Cup. But yeah, so I'm heavily invested in it for lots of different reasons, but it's been really enjoyable.
I will say it is really wild for me. So getting to see a number of MLS referees, people that some people see on TV every weekend, a highly accomplished referee, a FIFA international referee of the year in the MLS 3 different times, but you have the ability to go to games and be anonymous. No one's like, oh man, there's Alan Kelly. Most people. I was standing next to Carrie Seitz last week, our VP of referees in the United States for U.S. Soccer, who refed at 3 Women's World Cups, 4 Olympics. People just walking by her, have no idea. So it's got to be nice, though, being able to go to the game now that you're not officiating anymore and actually watch it as a fan. Watch it from the fan perspective and see the reactions and feel the crowd. without the pressure of being an official or actively as an official yourself.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But there is a little bit of pressure still because when the US
Right.
and Canadian referees and the pro officials work games, there is a little bit of pressure because you want them to do well. You want the officials to do well, but you want your own officials to really stand out and make a mark. I was lucky enough to be in the stadium for Croatia, Ghana just a couple of days ago in Philadelphia, where Drew Fisher and Michael Barwigan and Elias Arfa were on duty. And the atmosphere was fantastic. And there was a real carnival atmosphere surrounded by Croatian and Ghana fans, surrounded by some other officials as well. So the anonymity that you always look for was almost entirely there, but we still get into the officiating speak a little bit. But it has been, the in-stadium experiences have been really positive. You will get the very odd, real hardcore MLS fan that will finish from somewhere type of thing, and then reluctantly get into it. And then, but again, the conversations are all good, and people take it in the best of spirits type of thing. So it's been good. It's been good.
I want to go back 1 second. We briefly said it about the U.S. and Canadian referees who are a part of pro. So obviously there's Mexican referees too, but Katia and Tatiana, I don't believe officiate in pro. I think they work for Liga MX or Liga MX. But we, I like to collectively say, but here in America, as part of pro, people who are actively working MLS games every single week, yes, people are going to probably know Tori's name, Ismael, and Drew, but there are 11 match officials who are part of pro, Canadian American, who are working at the World Cup. 8 from the US, 3 from Canada. So we have 2 full referee crews with Tori and Ismael. We've got 2 VAR officials. We've got 3 Canadian officials, first time ever for 3 on 1 crew. Okay, so just out of my curiosity, and I don't know the answer to this, is there any other referee group, if you will, PGML would be our English officials and other referee groups. Is there any other referee group in the world that has that many officials working this World Cup?
Not a specific group. 11 being from the professional referee organization is an outstanding representation and a testament to where our group, and especially our international group, obviously are where they are today. Okay, and that didn't just happen. I speak to a lot of people who are not in the know, who pretty much just expect, because the World Cup's in the US, that the majority of the referees are from the US, Canada, Mexico. That's not the case. You've got to earn your spot here. So the answer to your question is, in terms of a group, no, nobody has more than the professional referee organization, made up of 8 from the US, 3 from Canada. Brazil have 9 officials. Argentina have 9 officials, but the biggest league in the world, arguably the biggest league in the world, the Premier League, has 7 officials in the form of 2 teams of on-field officials and one video match official, VAR. We have 3 teams of officials. Ishmael Elfat, Corey Parker, Kyle Atkins, Tori Penso, Brooke Mayo, Katie Nesbitt, Drew Fisher, Michael Barwigan, Elias Arfa, as I said, and as you already mentioned, Armando Villarreal and Joe Dickerson from a VAR point of view. So yeah, it's an outstanding representation from our group.
Yeah, I think one thing, and maybe this is my own ethnocentrism, but as I've really tried to study how things move around the world in the referee sense, and specifically laws of the game, it's interesting to see these new laws of the game that have been implemented this year, specifically the rule. I don't know if it's in the laws of the game yet, but specifically the rule around substitutions and 10 seconds. The MLS is known for being very progressive on the cutting edge of change. It was the first professional league in the world to have VAR across the entire league for all matches when it was implemented. I know that, and then the substitution rule in particular to cut down on time wasting, that has been the rule, if you will, local rule competition, the MLS, for over a year now. So do you feel that yourself as seeing kind of the MLS as kind of leaders for change in the world? Do you think that's recognized in other parts of the world?
Yeah, I think if you look at those 2 specific, the substitution rule and the off-field treatment rule, I think if you look at those 2 and the impact that they've had in MLS over the last couple of years, and obviously other leagues looking at how it's been implemented in MLS play, and then they implementing it into their leagues. Premier League brought in these, but FIFA, to do it for the World Cup, have looked at the work that's been done and said, I think this will work. And look, with everything new that's going to be introduced, there will always be an element of apprehension. The fact that there's a specific reason for it. Look, we want more effective match time. We want a higher tempo of game. We want the game flowing as much as possible. And I think when you see the impact that it's had on MLS, especially the off-field treatment room, specifically around the last 10, 12 minutes of games, where no matter where in the world you are, that last 10, 12 minutes, traditionally was the most difficult to manage because like teams are ahead, teams are on the road, they have a lead, or they have some points. There's a tendency to go down injured, break up the play. Referees aren't medics and doctors, so having to bring people in and so on. That was really difficult. It was, and I can say that having managed multiple games from that point of view in that time period in the game, that now is almost done, because of the implementation of these new rules. And it's had a really positive effect on the playing side of it. And you see it in the World Cup as well. Players tend to go down less. They tend to roll around less than previous tournaments, simply because they've received this message in advance of the tournament now to say, hey, if you're going to go down injured, I'm going to ask for the trainers to come in, then you go out. It's as simple as that. And no team, no coach wants to play down for a minute plus. So the approach to the game has been changed. And that, from an officiating point of view, is a positive. And so the game, from the purpose of the game and the viewing public, is a positive.
Okay, so just for those who aren't completely familiar yet, watching or listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, again, the new rule used, I don't want to say law, because I don't think it's in the laws of the game. I think it's specifically a local rule of competition. The deal is, if you go down and you're acting like you're injured, and it's not the result of a reckless challenge, cardable challenge, something like that, but we all know, end of game, somehow everyone all of a sudden seems to be going down injured and trying to eat up the clock for, hey, are you okay? You're right. And it used to be you could just, even if you needed treatment, that you could step off the field and immediately pretty much be waved back on. But now, if you are down for more than, say, about 10 seconds, the referee is going to call the trainers on and require you to go back off. And then when you go off, you now have to wait a full minute and then for the next stoppage of play to re-enter the competition. So you could be down to 10 men for a minute 20, a minute 30, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you name it. And I think at the beginning of this, at the World Cup, I do believe there was an instance where someone went off the field and it was over, they were off. I think it might have been a substitution. They took too long and a team scored with them down a player. So it can have significant impacts. But yeah, it's wild. You aren't seeing people just laying down like, oh, I'm in pain anymore at the end of games, because the message has been sent. All of a sudden, they can recover so much more quickly. And I think people want to see the game decided with players on the pitch with the ball in play, as opposed to people laying down or taking forever for a throw-in or a goal keep. I think it's a huge positive step in the right direction.
I agree. And we haven't touched upon the 5-second countdowns for throw-ins and goal kicks and so on. But again, it's not, the thing that I really like about it is that it's not specific to a certain period of the game. It can be the first minute, it can be the 90th minute, and it's dependent on the context of the game as well, where if the referee feels that somebody's taking longer than is normal, then the count starts. The hands goes in the air, the countdown starts, and play starts quicker than it had in the past. So I'm all for it. Look, anything that impacts the game from a positive point of view, we're fully embracing of. And I think you ask any referee at any grade, be it grassroots all the way to professional level, anything that impacts the game positively, any law change, any competition rule change that impacts the game positively, good thing.
So let's talk about those changes, specifically about the speeding up the game. Okay, so we've got now a goal kick. If you don't take a goal kick, if the referee feels that you're excessively wasting time on the goal kick, they can start a 5-second count on that, and it can become a corner kick. A throw-in, if you're taking too long on your throw-in, a referee could start a 5-second count, it becomes the other team's throw-in. And then we've got these rules specifically regarding substitutions to get the substitutions off quick, or the treatment rule as well. It's a lot to remember. Do you think this might pose a challenge for officials just to constantly be having to be thinking about all of these restarts?
Yeah. Yes and no. Look, if you're again, we talk about the levels of the game. If you're out officiating a game on your own, and these all come into law, then there's a whole lot of stuff that you need to remember, right? If you're working with assistant referees, then you've got some people that can help you out. If you're using technology, as the levels go up, as you use technology, you've got your teammates, and you've got your colleagues that are there, you're mic'd up, and you've got that gentle reminder, let's call it. Because look, the game, any referee can be wrapped up in the emotion of a game.
Right.
Any tempo of the game is up, emotions are up on the field of play, and there's a goal kick. When players want to ask you questions, and There's times where you want to answer them back, and sometimes your colleague will just simply say, hey, don't forget a 5-second count. Or when the ball's in the keeper's hands, don't forget the 8-second count. So yeah, it'll pose some challenges, but look, like everything else, right? Once it's into the game, once there's a little bit of familiarity around it,
Yes.
it'll become easier. And sure, some people are going to make a mistake here and there when it comes to that side of it, but who doesn't? Who hasn't? And the goal is always to not make any sort of mistake, but the more people become used to it, the more it'll just become second nature to our game.
Now, the question I have is, has there been any published data yet in this World Cup showing that the ball is in play more, like by any statistically significant percentage over previous World Cups with all of these new changes? Have you seen anything yet come out on that?
I haven't seen any yet, but look, from a data point of view, every game has a ton of data. We've just gone through 72 games in the group stages, thereabouts. I'm quite sure there's a whole lot of data compiled that will be released at some point. I know from our point of view, or from my point of view, I've watched the games for lots of different reasons, but specifically to see how the new rules, be it competition or law, how they're implemented, first of all, and the practical application of those. And I look at those and I try and get those clips just to show from an educational point of view. And there's been there's been 5 or 6 throw-ins that where the player is taking too long. It's been given the other way, where a goal kick happens, goalkeeper's taking too long, it's gone the other way. So from I'm going to use the term again, effective match time perspective, I'm quite certain that every game will have a data point of how much the ball was actually in play. And over the course of the tournament, that average will go up and down a little bit dependent on the game. It'll be really interesting. Look, 60 minutes of active play in a 90-minute game that's always the goal. It's a lot of times that doesn't happen, but that 60-minute point has long been discussed as it needing to be in play. So I'm quite sure before the end of the World Cup, FIFA will release some information or some data. Maybe it's after the round of 32, after the round of 16. I'm not sure. But there will be, once they've got enough data to correlate, there'll certainly be a release of it.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Again, I always talk about safe, fair, and fun in the grassroots level, and I think this is all about fairness because we've all been there, right? Again, game is going smooth up until about the 80th minute. All of a sudden, a hard challenge comes in, or a foul comes in, or someone scores. Right? Goals change games, and then you get someone just like really lollygagging to go get a ball for a goal kick, or really taking the time on a throw in. And now we have a tool that everyone is familiar with and can see on how to manage that effectively, which I think is fantastic. Can we talk a little bit about, as you're watching the World Cup as a technical director for officials, are there some things that you see common universal traits across these World Cup officials that really kind of separate someone who's good and maybe even a great referee locally, regionally, nationally, but the elite referees that you're seeing at the World Cup level? What are some of the things that jump out to you as you've been watching this?
Yeah, look, you've got some of the top referees in the world. The top referees in the world, the elite group of referees, many of which there are more there, but from the point of view of this World Cup, only a select number get chosen. Look, at every level of officiating, you want people to know what the laws of the game are. Like, that's not even a discussion at this level, right? Laws of the game are the laws of the game. The physical components, excellent, really good. What I really look for is game understanding. They'll say, what is that? The term football understanding is thrown out quite a lot, but what does that actually mean? The first 15 minutes of every game, I'm really fascinated to see how the group stages, how those first 15 minutes were officiated by the referees. Was it strong? Was it a strong approach? Or was it more a base of, we're going to see what the play is and then we'll adjust our tactical approach from an officiating point of view? Because all of the officials will have a tactical debrief before their game in terms of the teams, in terms of the setup. The first game, in the first round of group games, there's always an element of teams feeling each other out type of thing. I think the Netherlands-Japan, for anybody who looked at Netherlands-Japan, Ishmael and his team officiated that, but just basically just said to the Netherlands, here, you take the ball, right? We're happy for you to have it, and we're happy to sit back deep and in a low block and you to defend. Now, for us to defend, you break us down. And then they break at pace when the opportunity arises. So the first half of that game was two teams that really were just feeling each other out. And to look at the referees in those first 15 minutes just to see what they're doing, right? Is it a case of high intensity? And there's some games then where as the tournament progresses and there's more at stake and teams know exactly what they want and what they need in games 2 and 3, to see the slightly different approaches to it. There's been some really strong refereeing from a body language perspective. Referees aren't going out there to look for focus and attention. They're not. There's some real proactive officiating that I'm seeing, which is great. It's something that we preach to our referees a lot in terms of reading the game. So that reading the game, that understanding of the game, that seeing one pass ahead, 2 passes ahead, the movement, the proactive movement into space and position, even before that ball is played. That's been something that for somebody in my position, I keep a really keen eye on, because these are things that just happen in games like 10, 15, 20 times a game. And the casual viewer is not going to notice anything in relation to that. Somebody who's involved in referee education, these are the key things that I look for. So when I see elite referees, top referees around the world doing that without even thinking, it's great to see. It's great to be able to look at. It's great to be able to show referees at every level, whether it's grassroots level all the way through, in terms of, hey, look, this is the level that we come in at a young age or whenever officials start. But these are the things, as you go through the levels, the things that we never think about down here. It's just about getting used to the game, your feet in the grass, blowing a whistle for the first time. But the more through the levels, these are the type of things that take you level to level. Body language is huge. Communication skills, really good. Like, you can have strong body language, but have a really happy face, happy smiley face, you know? So that's the type of thing that really separates officiating at the top level. And there's multiple examples of that. And it's been really good to see. And again, as I said, the casual viewer is not going to see that. The referee nerds or the officiating nerds will. These are the things that we look out for.
I would just encourage anyone out there, if you haven't watched the Tori Penso match, please do. If you want to learn good body language, elegant movements and signaling. And she's a really interesting comparison to Drew and Ismail. You know, Ismail is 6'4", if I'm not mistaken. He is a big dude. He can be a chameleon too. He can be your best friend and he can be chill. But my gosh, if anyone saw that Uruguay match last night, it had a potential to completely blow up. And he made that decision to get forceful and get strong and get big and rise to that moment. And when you're dealing with a South American team with all of that energy and people who are about to be sent home from the World Cup, sometimes you gotta snap into it, get strong. It was a wild one. I do have a question for you. We talk about looking at the referees, whether you're in the stands or now watching on television, but we've also been treated to ref cam in this World Cup, which I've literally been messaging the communications guy at FIFA and I've been begging. I'm like, please let me get some more ref cam footage. How do you think that changes the game? Both as a casual viewer, because now you're getting to see a really interesting view. And I'm sure you're thinking, as you're looking at that ref cam and that goal, you're like, okay, where are they? Where'd they start from? Where'd they finish their run? What do they see? What's the angle? Can they see in between contact? All that kind of stuff. But also it must be an amazing potential training tool for you to develop referees.
That's the point I was going to start with. That first of all, the ref cam as they're wearing it now is not going to do anything for the referee that's wearing it, because they're there in the moment.
Right, totally.
Yeah. So to have that and to bring the fan experience onto the field or like right into the middle of play we've had a little bit of ref cam in MLS over the course of last season. Yeah. Not so much this season, but it's something that will be worked on. But I think ref cam, first of all, it'll do nothing for the referee that's wearing it. It'll do everything for the fan, the armchair fan, right? Because it puts them right into the middle. It gives them a bird's eye view of what the referee can see after the fact. But from a training tool, something that we can benefit from. I've alluded to the fact that we talk a lot in terms of understanding the game or tactical approach or proactive movement. But when we talk about that type of stuff in our training camps and so on, to be able to show clips of, hey, look, here you're right behind play, you're right behind the defender, right? In this clip here, the referee has already moved 5 yards left or 5 yards right, has created a really good angle, an optimal angle. And if you've got an optimal angle with two players making a challenge in the penalty area, great if it's an obstructed view. So that's the thing. That's the type of thing that we can look at from a training point of view and say, hey, open your mind a little bit more. If you've not read the pass and you're coming from a position where your angle isn't great, move left, move right, create an angle. That doesn't necessarily need to be at professional level. It can be at any level. Yeah, I'm hoping that in some of the training tiers from grassroots up, you'll see a little bit more of ref cam footage, because it puts people right into the referee shoes.
From your lips to Carrie's ears, I tell you, I've been a big advocate for body cameras for a long time for personal safety, but I think tools like comms, communication, and the ability to start capturing this first-person POV are outrageously valuable tools for training and development of our referees. I actually just literally this week, the first videos got published. I'm working for a company called Ref Reps, which actually does high school ref training curriculum and college curriculum to teach people how to be referees. And so we just launched the soccer packages, and they've got drone footage. They've got first person POV from the ref, from the ARs. They've got the kind of the sideline cameras as well. And so when you put all those things together, and you could see plays from different angles, from the assistant referee's position, from the referee's position, you can have a whole different dialogue. But that whole idea of the referee and using your positioning to have the ability to have credibility and visibility of a call is so unbelievably critical, no matter what level of the game. I think we're seeing it at the elite level. Man, every time they show that ref cam footage, that guy or gal is on it. I mean, they're like right coming in behind that, just outside the penalty area, like at a perfect angle. I do have a question about this, though. I have a theory. I'm joking, but I'm not sure. Have you noticed that there was a significant amount of referees that were hit by the ball in close to the penalty area in about the first 5 to 10 games of this World Cup?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a significant increase. Again, I've watched so many games.
I know.
Yeah, I've watched so many games, and I've seen the referee get hit with the ball. And look, we do everything possible to avoid.
Of course. I'm just wondering, though, is because the ref cam, like we're showing this ref cam, and they want Kalina to see, hey, man, I was there in case something happened. And maybe the referee said, okay, the camera's not doing anything for the referee in the field. Maybe they're getting too close in thinking about, I got to have a good view of this. I got to have a good view. I don't know if it could be like in the back of their mind, they're thinking about it.
I don't think so, because look, at this level, at the professional level, what I'm going to say is that we talk about penalty area control quite a lot. A penalty area control doesn't necessarily start right around the penalty area. It starts if there's a quick counterattack. So any referee at an elite level like that, when they go box to box or penalty area to penalty area, they want to get into a really good position. You mentioned credible. To have proximity and angle of view just adds so much credibility to you giving a decision or not giving a decision. Referees are encouraged. We absolutely encourage our referees to be as close to play as possible, but obviously not in passing lanes where that's obviously preferred. But a stray pass or a stray ball, nothing you can do about that type of thing. So look, I have seen a few referees. I did see the referee get hit in the stadium in the France-Norway game, and I'm like, that's my first reaction is, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, no, totally. And it happens. I think for some reason in my mind, I've been a little bit more keen on it. I have 2 more questions for you, and I'll let you go because we got another game coming up in a little bit. So the first one, and I think this is it may be a long answer, and I apologize, Alan, but one thing that I think the casual fan doesn't understand is that at these elite levels, and when we see it, MLS, Premier League, whatever, but here we're at the biggest competition in the World Cup, there's a lot of upper body contact that happens that maybe in one day it's a foul, maybe another day it's a foul, in another situation it's a foul, whatever it might be. But generally speaking, referees are allowing the game to flow, and they're trying to look for just the games to flow and keep foul thing going without calling fouls. When we're either seeing grabbing of shirts, tugging, pulling, a little bit of wrestling for a ball, can you talk about like that aspect for how important that is at the elite level to find that perfect balance between, okay, calling the fouls that need to be fouled, but also just allowing the game to breathe and flow?
I think it's been great. That's the first thing I'll say. I think it's been great to see. First of all, I'll focus on the referees, right? The referees have been encouraged to do this, right? And it all feeds back into players going down easy, looking for attention, having to go off. So all of it is interconnected, right? So that's the first side of it. I'll also praise the players, because once the referee's gone up and set a little bit of a standard in terms of this is my line of acceptability, right? And it may change. It may change during the game, because look, what's not necessarily a foul in the 65th minute might be a foul in the 70th minute, depending on the context of the game. You know, so and there's been a real maturity, right? I use the word mature, a real maturity from the players and the coaches. Sure, they'll turn around and they'll say, "Hey, look, no foul," and the ref will say, "Hey, for me, I just think it's normal upper body contact. Could be whatever. It's accepted and it's moved on. There's no arguing. There's no constant bickering." So I think there's a maturity about the players at this level that have looked at that and said, "Yeah, okay." And they would have received that information before the tournament kicked off anyway. Hey, you want to play? Perfect, no problem. You want to be more physical, right? Or get into things. Spain-Uruguay game was a physical game.
A lot on the line.
And the line of acceptability changed as the game went on. Referee read the game. Referee understood the game. So I think that part of it's been a really positive aspect. And again, watching it on the TV, watching it in stadium, you're seeing the kind of the same thing. You're seeing players. Sometimes you don't get the full context on TV, but being in stadium, looking at it, players have gone down, taking a quick look. I'm not getting a free kick. Up again, work back, play goes on. No real bickering. There's been very few times where you've seen images of the referees being surrounded. It happens, especially in key moments. So it happens.
But we're talking for you. We've watched 70 plus games now. I can remember 2 or 3 instances where there might have been, for the most part, not happening at all.
Sure, very few. And that's one of the things that will be one of the biggest takeaways out of this that I hope clubs and coaches look at and say, yeah, okay. I know from our point of view, what we do is we say, hey, keep the game simple. Look like a foul. Give a foul. But it needs to be credible. Don't manufacture fouls, but keep the game simple. Yeah, keep the game simple. That's been our approach to this, right? Is the technical application's always been good, right? The game feel and understanding, right? That's the thing that we've constantly looked to work on. And referees operating at a high, top international level on a regular basis will get that feel, and those top elite players will have that good understanding of the game. They're not going to agree with every decision that's given or not given on the field. Yeah. There's an acceptance of it because ultimately the referee's decision-making over the course of 90 minutes, they know that once you reach a certain level, you're not a bad referee when you reach a certain level. Sure, will you make mistakes? Of course you will. You all have. But there's a general feeling that, you're here for a reason. And I think if players and coaches show that maturity, if officials show that maturity coming out of this World Cup and into their domestic competition, game will be better for it.
Alan, one of the things that
sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, it's wonderful.
It was going to be a long answer. So.
No, I knew, absolutely, and I love it. It's thought-provoking. For me, one of the things that a thought I've had in my head for a while, I've mentioned it a couple different ways. It's like what you need to know to be a great referee, you're not going to find in the laws of the game. There seems, again, as you progress as a referee and you make it through grassroots and you go regional and you have a desire to go someplace else, everyone has foundational at that point. You've got to have the fitness at that point. You get it. You got to know generally the laws of the game and understand procedure and things of that nature. But it really does seem to be able to go from good to great, to being pro, to make it to that elite. A lot of that stuff is soft skills. So just real briefly as we kind of close here, for those who are listening to this and really want to understand what it takes to get to the next level, how can they develop the soft skills? What is it? How critical is that for you as the technical director when you're looking at a referee who seems to got the fitness, they look good in their uniform, all that kind of stuff? Talk about how important that is and what can they be doing to really develop that, to give them the opportunity to get to that next level.
I think the point you're bringing up, first of all, is an excellent point. It's a really great point. Look, the laws of the game are the laws of the game, black and white, right? They're written down. They're there. They're in the law book. Everybody can read them. Okay. Football, soccer is a game that isn't played in black and white. There are shades of gray, different shades of gray in the game and in specific games. Okay. How do referees improve and learn? My simple answer is to watch more football, watch more soccer.
Yeah.
Watch more football, watch more soccer. I say that to our group of referees. Look, we all try and balance our everyday lives. For officials, for those that operate at a professional level with us, we actively encourage you referee your MLS game. Fine. All right. But find time to watch other football around the world. Like Liga MX. It could be South America. It could be Champions League. It could be Premier. It could be La Liga. And not necessarily just look at key incidents like
Yeah.
penalties and red cards. The natural draw to that.
Yes.
It's the focus on the referees and how we communicate with players. Okay. If it's just a simple foul, is it just a quiet word? Is it a simple tap on the shoulder? If it's a little bit more forceful, is it a bit stronger in the body language? Is it a bit more gesticulative with your arms? Is it more with your face? That type of thing. Look, communication on the field is such a valuable skill set. It is a skill set. How you use that, we all have the ability to use it even before a ball is kicked. But I think these are the things. The communication side is something that I was a big believer in on-field communication. Even before the first whistle went, I used to say to myself, depending on the game, I'm going to referee this game in the tunnel before we walk out. Strong word to the captain. You have a word with your players. Everybody behaves. We get on great. Right? If we want to play, we can play. If we don't want to play, then we're just going to have stop, start. Yeah. And more often than not, that message will get across if it's delivered right. It sends to the players, I'm ready here. So that's, I think, watching more football. I think it is for any referee that's gone through levels, and for those who you ask those referees that are there at the World Cup at the minute, some of the things they did, it was more in their own time rather than what they did on the field of play. A lot of what they did on the field of play, but watching other officials, watching other leagues, right? That's where the softer skills are developed. And sure, when you come to someone like us or states or whatnot, right? These are the things that we absolutely focus on. We'll always focus on the key decisions. Of course we will. Yeah. Okay? But it's the application of the laws of the game, showing the little differences between one incident and another. Similarities, right? We talk considerations for a lot of things, but no two incidents are the same. So having that real good feel for it, having that real understanding of, but I think communication on the field is such a big thing. You know? Yeah. And when I say that, it's not about explaining every decision. It's not. Sometimes it's knowing when not to say anything at all. So
I know it. Alan, I really do appreciate your time today, man. Sincerely. I hope this might be our first conversation, but hope definitely not the last.
Yeah, hopefully. And again, thank you for the very kind invite, and we'll chat again.
Awesome. All right, everyone listening out there, thank you for joining the pod today. Hope you've been enjoying the World Cup. If you're not following me at TikTok, you're missing all my behind the scenes videos as I'm working for TikTok and FIFA throughout the World Cup as a creative correspondent. And as always, I hope your next match is red card free.